I'm sorry, I've got to apologise. It didn't look like there's going to be much of a film this week. I've had issues. I've had concentration issues, ideas, you know. Oh, you want to know? I'll tell you what, I'll explain. Just hang with me while I'm trying to fix the wiring on this Starcaster, so hang with me and I'll explain what's been going on this week. The failed attempts at making a film this week, there have been several. We've got to try and do something that people will click on. You don't get the big numbers unless you're opening a box. I thought, oh, I'll do the PRS. Maybe I won't bother. I parked that as well. Right, let's just crack on with this for a second. It's more about the idea and making the thumbnail clickable. I might even put my face on there, you know, this time. You know, pulling a funny face like that. You know, what's that they do? Yeah, let's do the thumbnail now. It's the bit to feed it in. I've got to concentrate. So I'm gonna do this, and then we'll finish the story. Do you remember this? I had probably about 2 years ago. I reviewed this, and the wiring was broken. I thought it was a switch. It wasn't the switch. So a little while ago, I made a film on the TV channel trying to fix it, basically. So I got as far as pulling the wiring out and giving up at that point. So I've bought a complete new wiring loom, which is what I'm going to do now. That's what I'm doing here. I'm going to install this, but what we'll do is I can talk you through the failed attempts at making a film this week. There have been several. So what I've got to do, first thing I'm going to do, actually I'm going to do this while I'm talking, all right, is I'm going to route these potholes, because the original pots are these metric ones, and I'll show you that in a minute, but this is a CTS spec pot. It don't go in, so this is one of the things you might have to do if you ever want to upgrade an import guitar to Imperial US pots. Route. I'll show you how to do it, okay? So what was I saying? I should concentrate really while I'm doing this. Making these films was time consuming. You know, it takes at least 3 days for me to make the sort of films that I make on this channel, because they're long and because it's multi-camera stuff. It takes quite a long time to edit it. So, you know, it all starts with the concept, doesn't it? The idea. And this week it was coming to the year end, so what I was going to do, what I planned to do for the next couple of weeks, was an annual roundup, like I did last year. But then I look back at how that had done last year on the channel. You know, well, I'll show you. There's the stats. Just over 21,000 views in the last year, which is piss poor. You think, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort? You know, I opened a box a couple of weeks ago and it's done more than 30,000 in the last 2 weeks. So this is what we're dealing with, you know. It's a shame because the roundup film was great. Put a lot of effort into that. Let me just concentrate on this for a second. Just do it gently. I just remembered I had to cut the tip off my router a while ago because it was too long. this is what you do. Just careful. I put the masking tape on there so it didn't, or to try and prevent it cracking the surface. There you go. It's now got a fair amount of dust in there, which I'm going to just try and shake some of it out of the jack hole. Oops. What you didn't see off camera then was that the pickups were loose and they just fell out on the floor. There's always something in there. I'll leave them out while I'm here. Right. Yeah, so what was I saying? So yeah, the roundup idea, I just kind of parked that. I thought, you know what, we've got to try and do something that people will click on, because that's the challenge. It's the challenge on the YouTube. You can make great films, but it's why I do stuff like this on the TV channel, because if every time I do it on YouTube, it's just like really mediocre. I mean, you true fans, or you guys that, that like this sort of stuff, watch, but it's you don't get the big numbers unless you're opening a box, So let's just carry on. Oh, talking about opening a box, I'll show you what we're going to put in. So I looked at this and I thought, look at it, I don't know, I'll get the whole lot and then we'll definitely fix it, won't we? Because it could be the switch, it could be this, I don't know. So I bought this Starcaster wiring loom complete. There weren't many places I could find one. So I found this place, Gun Street in Portland, Oregon. And they do some good stuff by the looks of it. There you go. Yeah, we'll get this out and have a look at it. Shipped from the States to UK. It was only about £130 to the door. Look at that. Looks cool, doesn't it? I've just got what we got in there. Nice little thank you card from Gum Street. Oh, we've got a wiring diagram. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward anyway. Anyway, let's get that aside. All you got to do with this, is wire the two pickups, one pickup to each volume pot, and the earth wire, which is there, and feed it in. Should be easy. So, as I was saying, I parked that idea, and then I thought, going back to the box opening with the Sonic Mustang a couple of weeks ago, I said, because the Sonic Mustang's replaced the Bullet Mustang. So during that review, I said, I think they're the same. I don't think they've changed much. But I discovered, actually, that there are actually quite a lot of differences. So I thought, I know, I'll do a comparison. Sonic Mustang versus Bullet Mustang. What are the differences? Because I've got a Bullet Mustang and I've got a Sonic Mustang. But the problem with that is the Sonic Mustang that I just got is, there's a couple of problems with that. It's single pickups, two single coil pickups, and it's got a maple neck. While the Bullet Mustangs that I've got two. One of them's still got the original humbucker pickups in, and it's got not rosewood, but Power Farrow or Indian Laurel fingerboard. So two major differences already, which kind of like, it just kind of like ruins the concept, really, doesn't it? So that was fucked. I do find it difficult to actually talk and do stuff like this So there might be pauses. Oops, well, that's lucky. Oh, look at that. Switch. Jack. Crikey. Presume it's all long enough. I'm going to need that instructions now to work out which is the volumes and which are the tones. So it always pays to look. So yeah, it goes around that way. I suppose it's obvious really. Those two are the volumes. This is the bridge volume. So when it goes up the right way, inside, be that way, wouldn't it? Yeah, bridge is down there, isn't it? Next there. You have to think about this stuff. So the mustache thing weren't going to work. So what else have I got? I had an idea that I started working on. I'd actually started working on this on Monday and copying in loads of rushes. The idea was, and I might do it still, probably not next week. It's all about Epiphone really, and really my roller coaster ride with Epiphone. Because when I started this channel, started making films about 3 years ago, I was all over Epiphone saying how brilliant they were. Massive fanboy. And then over the last 3 years, they've gradually eroded my love of all things Epiphone. You know, I'm always moaning about them. So I thought I might try and explain that a little bit. You know, what's all that about and why. It's quite in depth, isn't it? And really, I don't think people want to hear me moaning. So I park that as well. Right, let's just crack on with this for a second. What I ought to do now is actually start trying to put it in, really, I suppose. I might actually just get the switch. Let's just wrap that around there for a second. That's the earth. We're going to be using the tubing method for the pots to kind of start it. It's a great way of doing it. It's a little bit fiddly, but it makes it a lot easier to locate the holes, see? And the jack, well, this guitar, it's going to be a lot easier because it's got a plate that screws in from the outside. So it's, I should be able to actually just put a jack plug in there and pull it through. And that's really handy because I'm going to wire the pickups on now before I put the loom in, just see if it works. See, sensible. Right. Neck. Time to fire up that soldering iron. So while that's heating up, the third idea. So, you know, when I'm reviewing guitars, it's quite easy because, well, I suppose there's a degree of enthusiasm in what I'm doing. I'm quite excited because I've got a new guitar. But I have got a new guitar this week, but it's not something I'm excited about it. I came across a used PRS SE, and I mean, yeah, it looks all right. I can't get excited about it for some reason. I don't know what it is about PRS, but I'm going to review it. I'm not going to review it this week, obviously. I thought, oh, I'll do the PRS. Nah, maybe I won't bother. Now, so that's going to go in like that. These pickups for conductor, incidentally, you can see you can just about see the green and the white joined and hidden away under there. So you could, if you wanted to do coil splits or whatever with this guitar, quite easily do it. That's the bridge pickup. That's the neck pickup. All we got to do is tin the back of the pots, solder 2 wires, connect the earth as well. Where do they suggest you connect the earth? I don't think it really matters. Bridge tone, they've got it on here. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Which would be the bridge tone? This one, wouldn't it? Little bit of tinning. Really neat wiring on this loom. So hope I don't mess it up. Right. Neck. Bridge, neck, neck. I think that's right. Bridge. Now, it's the bit to feed it in. I'm gonna concentrate. I've got to concentrate. So I'm gonna do this, and then we'll finish the story. Oh no, we've got to test it first. That's what we've got to do. Of course, we've got to test it, haven't we? Just make sure they're all turned fully up. This is the moment of truth, isn't it? Middle position. Right, okay, good. We've got a bridge reading. You see that? Just under 8. Middle. Great. Neck, 7.58. It works. Hey. So now for the easy bit. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with the tubing, shall I? So I've just worked it out. So this is the bridge tone, so it's got to go there. This is the bridge volume's got to go there. So they're going to go in first. This is the bridge pickup, so it is connected. So the rubber tubing and a cloth just to, yeah, because it will kind of do its own thing, move around quite a bit. We've got a collection of lock washers, and it's very important. It's important to try and remember to put the lock washers on. Now, the great thing about the tubing method is this. Get your tubing, and because it's quite stiff, it's pretty easy to manoeuvre. Get your forceps out. Got to get yourself some forceps. They'll make your life a lot easier. There you go. And you might be able to do some operations on the side as well, I suppose. So this being the bridge tone. Oops, what was I talking about? Lock washers. Put your lock washer on. There you go. Now, I've had a few people ask actually what size the tubing is. Well, I'll tell you what I did. I took a pot into my local DIY store, B&Q in the UK, and they sell this by the roll, and I just found one that fits on that bit, top bit, and you will note that there's also enough room to get the washers and the nut over it once it goes in. Now, this should be sufficient to line up this is probably where I find out why they say put the earth in that one, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know if you can see this, but these are going in first, and the earth wire, because I decided to be a maverick and connect it to the neck tone, because I thought, oh, it's closer, it'd be better. It's not. Do as you're told. It says there, bridge tone. There's a reason for this. Because you're going to pull it in with the first wave. Makes sense. Whoops. Now I've dropped the lock washer off that. Oh yeah, what was I going to do? Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one off for now. Wait for my soldering iron to warm up again now. So yeah, it's, you know, every week you have to start again. You have to start making a new film. You have to come up with an idea that you think people will like. And it's not about the film. It's not, well, I suppose it is, but it's more about the idea and making the thumbnail clickable. Because, you know, I've made some, what I think, pretty decent films that haven't got a lot of views, and it's demotivating. You think, you know, why do I bother with this? Like this film, I'm planning to put I think this will be an apology, and it'll probably have, I might even put my face on there, you know, this time, you know, pulling a funny face like that, you know, what's that they do? Yeah, let's do the thumbnail now. What's that? That bloke that always goes. People who love this one, they'll click, oh, an apology, oh, look, what's he sorry about? Oh, what's he fucking doing now? Huh? You know, I really shouldn't be on YouTube, to be honest with you. This platform's not designed for me, for the sort of films that I'm making. And I'm making the sort of films that I make. It's just what I do, you know. Hang on, which is the... So I want to put on this one instead, don't I? Yeah. I don't know if you can see this. And this is why I have the TV channel, so that I can do stuff like this. And the proper nerds, you know, the nerds amongst you, you know, you can kind of watch this sort of stuff without me dumbing it down. I'm trying really hard not to dumb down what I'm doing, and I fully appreciate that I'm an acquired taste and not everyone likes it. But you know, there's a lot of other stuff for anyone that doesn't, isn't there? You know, out there, you can watch all sorts of 7-minute reviews of guitars and stuff. And what I do is, love it or hate it, it's a bit different. I never intend to do this. I'm not doing this for ego or because I have this big dream of being an influencer or anything. I'm doing this because it was an accident during COVID. I just started, there was nobody else, I couldn't have anyone else in the studio, so I started pointing the camera at myself. And a few of you idiots said, oh yeah, that's good, give us more. So I just carried on doing it. And then you get on this hamster wheel every week, week in, week out. I've got to feed it, I've got to feed the beast. The YouTube algorithm. Right, so that's better. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'll talk you through the success or failure of this as I do it. I keep getting me headed away with this camera. I've got to be aware of that, I think. You can see this one coming up already. There you go. Not a lot of room to get that nut on. But there's room. Washer. And then hopefully there you go. That's the tubing method. Now, I'm going to see this one. This is the volume there. Because there's quite a lot of access room here, I should be able to pop the locking washer on there. Yep. And then, as if by magic, with me magic forceps, and fingers, I'm just going to come around the other way. Bit fiddly, but it goes eventually. I'm going for the tubing. Let's see if I can get this one on. There you go. It's fiddly. They're in. They're in. And hopefully, hopefully it still works. Oh look, a big solder blob on my guitar. Crikey. Look at that. That's quite pretty. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Let's just tighten me nuts. Tighten me nuts. So hopefully, you know, in this process, there's no shorts, because obviously doing all that, you know, it's quite easy for the wires on the capacitor that's joining the pots together to short against something. So should we do another test? We'll do that before we bolt that down, I think. See if it's still working. Get in. There you go. Right. Phew. I mean, I've sped through a lot of that. in reality, putting that back in has probably taken, half an hour, which is remarkable if you consider that the first time that I did this was a 335. There's a series on the channel because it just took days, literally, because I didn't know how to do it properly, and I was trying to use bits of string, because a lot of people on YouTube say, oh, this is how to do it. It just gets you in a mess. Whereas this tubing, it's stiff and it's still a bit fiddly, but you know, if you got some forceps and a bit of patience, you can do it. This guitar's easy to work on because it's got lots of access. Not only are the F-holes quite big, but also it's got good access, both pickups. So that's actually in. All I've got to do now is put the jack socket back in, which should be easy. These are Hosco witch hat knobs that I bought from someone. Just Google it. Just Google witch hat knobs, and these are US or Imperial CTS spec. So they'll go on. You try and fit the old ones on, the splines are different. They're kind of, you know, you can make them fit if you push hard enough. But. Ta-da! So what I'm going to do now is put it all back together, put a new set of strings on, plug it in, see what it sounds like. That'll be a part 3. I haven't got time for that now. So that'll be a part 3 over on the TV channel. So there's the address. If you want to catch that, go over there. It's 30 days free, so you can do a 30-day free trial if you like. If you'd like to stick around and support the channel on there, please do. There's all sorts of stuff like this on there that I can't get away with on YouTube, quite frankly. So check it out and support the Guitaristas. I'll be back here on YouTube next week. Sorry I haven't been able to do anything for you this week, but you know, it's the way it goes sometimes. So hopefully I'll be back next week with some fresh ideas and some fresh motivation, and we'll get on with it. Yeah, cheers. See you next week. Ta-da.